Ooh.
Cue me, dog. Hey everyone, welcome to the Otherz podcast. I'm your host, Steve Penny. Joining me as always after a little while away, my co-host Rafa. How you doing, man?
What up, man? I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. We seem to have these like spells of recording where we do like 2 or 3 or 4. We're bang on every week and we got loads of stuff to say, loads of stuff to talk about. And then we just disappear for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, man. Just taking a break, I guess.
Yeah, life stuff.
Exactly.
And then we've got the summer coming up as well, so that'll cause more problems. But we're here for for the moment. We've got
Yeah.
another track to talk about. There's plenty of news from the last sort of few weeks. I am sure I've missed some, but I've got kind of the main things in the show notes that we can talk about. So I think there's plenty there. So let's get into this week's track. I thought we hadn't had an N.E.R.D track for quite some time. We've been sort of focusing on other artists mainly, I think, over the last sort of 6 months or so. So I thought I'd pull an N.E.R.D one out the bag, and we are going back to 2017, and we're talking about Lemon. Now, I was quite surprised when I saw the date 2017 because in my head, this album, it's like, oh, it was just a few years ago. Like, I
Yeah.
remember when it came out, I remember discussing it with Brent and him hitting me up and us talking about it. And in my head, yeah, because it's the last NERD thing, they sort of really did of any significance. I just kind of think, oh, yeah, it's just a few years ago, but it's 2017. We're
Yeah,
not
man.
far off of 10 years.
Insane.
Yes,
Insane.
time has flown.
Yeah. I I w- I was thinking about this and I was imagining like does because I know when you are an adult, like times start to pass faster and faster. And we heard a lot of specialists talking about this and why. But I was thinking about how our cell phones is making the time pass even faster. Because sometimes I'm just like I'm going to take a shit, for example, and when my legs starting to get numb, I look at my phone, I look at that time, and I'm like, man, I'm being here for 2 hours.
This is not the way I thought we were going to start off a new podcast.
Sorry, man. I'm just.
You could have just said, I just go to the bedroom or sit on the sofa and I just lay down and I scroll on my phone. But no, okay. No, I get what you mean. There are so many more things that just kill the time. And I'm the same. Like I'm in meetings most of my day with work and stuff. If I get like a little gap in the middle somewhere, like an hour, and I've been really busy, I might sort of think, right, I want to switch off for a few minutes. And I'll sort of go and, maybe like lay on the bed, sit on the sofa, and I'll start scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or something. And like before I know it, my alarm's going for my next meeting.
Yeah,
And in my head, I think I've only been there 10 minutes, but I've actually been there like an hour. But the time just disappears with all of the scrolling that you do and the focus on the actual, content.
yeah, man. So yeah, 8 years already. Damn.
Yes. How do you feel that the album itself holds up after 8 years?
In my opinion, I think he holds pretty good, and I haven't listened to the album for a while. I listened yesterday, and I feel it's even better now. Especially, there's some songs that sonically like still very different from everything else that I ever heard or will be hearing in the next couple of months or years, and that's pretty good. Like that's pretty N.E.R.D or pretty Neptunes, right? They make uh timeless beats. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, I think the album is like pretty solid, especially for that time, especially after all those years, because I think went on a hiatus for 8 years, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty different also. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same pretty much. I still enjoy listening to it. I still think most of the songs are fairly decent on there. There's the one that I don't like at the end, the Ed Sheeran one. Is it Lifting
Oh
You?
yeah.
I think we've talked about it before previously on here. I still don't particularly enjoy that one, but the rest of the album, if any of the tracks come on when I'm in the car or I'm at home, happily listen to them.
Yeah, man, me too. And that's one of the reasons that I also don't like Lemon. I'm
You
just
don't
going
like
to say it.
Lemon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, no, let me explain. As a song, I think is amazing. As an N.E.R.D song, I think I don't know, man. There's nothing that say that this is an N.E.R.D song. Nothing on it. Nothing. It's way more a Neptune's producer song than an N.E.R.D album, and that's why I think I also don't like 1000 because it feels like it's a future song, and that's why I also don't like the Ed Sheeran because it feels like it's a Ed Sheeran song. And I mean, we've seen Pharrell and N.E.R.D putting recycled songs on their album and on other albums, the previous albums, but this one was pretty on the nose. They were not trying to hide, I think.
Yeah, to me, I get what you mean. I wouldn't say I don't dislike the song. I don't think it's one of my favorites, but it is very much a song that seems to have been specifically made to be a first single. It's like,
Yeah,
we need something on the album that's going to be a first single that's simple, that's catchy, that we can turn into something potentially viral, which we'll talk a bit more about later. And I think this kind of song encapsulates all of that. And obviously, they get a really big name on it, like Rihanna as well,
exactly.
which kind of pushes it even more. So I think this one has a bit more purpose behind it, not necessarily in a good way, more in a marketing way.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a bad song.
Yeah, me no, me too. The song is amazing, actually. Rihanna is even Pharrell is pretty good on it, but Rihanna is amazing on it. And but every time that I start to listen to the entire album, I always skip that song. I like to hear it like
It's
alone.
amazing, but you always skip it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it kind of annoys me that song is a N.E.R.D song. It's like I have a
That
beef with the song.
they dare to put it out.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you think you would like it more if it was a beat that had just gone to another artist? So it just gone to like Rihanna, for example, and it was an actual Rihanna song and she was on all the verses.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. That's why
Okay.
when I don't know when I'm listening to Spotify, for example, and this song like pops out randomly, I never skip it because I like it when it's just a single, as a single song.
Okay.
But
But when you
in
listen to it amongst an album, it doesn't
yeah,
fit for
yeah,
you. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, understandable, I
Yeah.
guess. All right. Well, let's do some numbers and then we can get into this a little bit more. So, as I said, this was the first single from the album No One Ever Really Dies, which was N.E.R.D's fifth studio album. The single and the video came out at the same time, 1st of November 2017, which again kind of surprises me because I do sort of feel it's one of those tracks that would have done probably even better if it had been released in the spring, in the kind of lead up to the summer.
Yeah, true.
It reached number 36 on the US Billboard Hot 100. It got to number 31 in the UK charts. And then it made it to kind of 83 on the kind of year end chart in the US. It did go 3 times platinum in the US and has also gone platinum and gold in a number of other countries. And it has 149 million YouTube views. I don't know what the Spotify numbers are. I imagine they're fairly high just because of the amount that this was kind of pushed at the time and marketed.
Sure.
The first sort of bit I wanted to kind of talk about, which I guess is kind of the main part of the video. It was directed by Todd Torso, who's still, I think I pronounced that right. He still works with Pharrell. He, he's been working on Louis Vuitton stuff with them. I think he's done some human race stuff previously, and Scott Cudmore. And then the video stars the kind of, well, at the time, just dancer Meta. I think her artist name is just Meta now. It was Meta Narrative. Her real name is Meta Townley. And obviously she appears kind of throughout the video and throughout all of those N.E.R.D videos from that album, and was also obviously touring with them as well, and was kind of appearing on a number of places to kind of help promote the different singles. Did you get to listen to any of her stuff kind of afterwards?
Yeah, but back in the day, like when she started to put out some singles, like I listened to it just to check it out, and I remember to feeling like it was okay, but nothing that grabbed my attention really.
I'd never really properly listened to any of her stuff. Like I remember kind of after the album came out and it was announced that yeah, she was yeah, we saw her in lots of like modeling campaigns. I think she was like the face of, maybe it was like L'Oreal or something. I think there was like a shampoo, then there was a makeup company and stuff like that. She
Yeah,
did a lot of modeling work, and then she was obviously going to become, a sort of solo artist. And I think she wasn't is managed by Pharrell's ex-manager that still works with Pharrell. And it seemed that, it was initially quite a lot of sort of, hype behind her and marketing behind her coming off the back of No One Ever Really Dies. But
mm,
it never really seemed to go anywhere. It just sort of seemed to, I don't want to say die a slow death. Maybe that's a bit too harsh.
yeah,
And I don't follow her online, so I don't kind of see a lot of stuff that she's posting, but I don't really see much about her being shared by kind of other people in our kind of community anymore. But I did go back and like did listen to some of her tracks and watched a few videos and stuff like that. Some of them are actually really good.
yeah, nice.
It was actually some quite good stuff. Obviously, a fair bit of budget gone into some of the videos as well. So it's a shame that it kind of never really seemed to kind of come off.
Yeah, true.
Nothing ever really got any sort of traction, I don't feel. And she's had some, some high profile let's say appearances. She opened for Taylor Swift, I think, in the UK.
Oh
She
wow.
appeared in the recent Barbie movie as well. I remember
Oh
seeing
yeah,
her in
true.
that. She was there, yeah. So she's kind of out there doing stuff, but yeah, I don't think the music has ever really kind of caught on to a commercial or successful level.
Yeah, true. I saw her Instagram like earlier today, and she still performs, and I think she got like a little fan base. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty niche, maybe, but yeah, it was good to see that she was also still performing and making like putting out music. Pretty cool, and she changed a lot. But I mean, we met her like with a shaved head and almost 10 years ago, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I was just surprised, like, oh, is this the same person? But yeah, she changed a lot, but she still looks amazing.
Yeah, and like you say, she is still kind of performing and doing stuff, which is obviously great to see.
Yeah,
Hopefully, she kind of gets back into the whole sort of music thing and has some success. I did notice like one of her tracks, I can't remember which one it was nominated for like an Ivor Novello Award, which is sort of fairly prestigious. I don't think she won it, but it was nominated at least. So
nice.
that's a positive to come from the music, although it may not have been kind of particularly commercially successful.
Yeah, true.
But kind of going back to the video itself, and around sort of some of the marketing and her involvement in it, as we mentioned earlier, it did seem like a lot of the marketing campaign around the track and around the video was like trying to make it go viral on Instagram and TikTok. I think TikTok was it just before TikTok maybe? Or was kind of TikTok already around at that point? I can't really remember.
Yeah, I think TikTok was starting to being hot,
Yeah.
but TikTok was already out for sure.
Yeah, because they had that sort of lemon dance thing and lemon dance challenge thing that they were
Horrible,
pushing
man.
quite a lot on their social media. Yeah, it did seem kind of fairly popular, but it was very forced, quite cringe-worthy. And I do remember Meta kind of appearing on a number of sort of chat shows to kind of promote the single, but by promoting it, doing that dance and getting people to, talking about getting people to post their own videos online and stuff like that. And it was I don't know. I guess it was of the time with social media. The thing to do then was to try and get a viral video of some kind or a viral dance or something of that kind to get as many views and listens as possible.
Yeah, true. It was the first time that I felt like, oh, maybe I'm getting old. Because every time that I started to get annoyed with something, like, am I getting old? I always ask myself, and that was one of those moments. And also, I think they were like promoting like that because uh, that song is starting to get attention to a totally different audience from the N.E.R.D fan base.
Yeah,
Like, it's for Rihanna's fan base, which is totally different.
yeah.
So it makes sense that they were going on that direction, but for her, it was like, ugh.
Yes. Yeah, you could certainly see it was, or at least the marketing was sort of aimed at a younger demographic and a different audience, like you say, Rihanna's fans. And then probably also a lot of the people that had kind of got tuned into Pharrell off the back of, Happy and Blurred Lines and all that kind of time period as well, which wasn't that far or that long before this as well.
Yeah, true. And I always think about like, there's a couple of months ago, I saw a video of someone talking about Tarantino and how when Tarantino realized he was already getting old to speak with a younger audience, he started to go back. So all his films after that, he always is back in the day because he knows how to talk about those moments and who he was speaking with. And I
Yeah.
think that moment on N.E.R.D's history, N.E.R.D's life, I don't know, is when I don't know if they realized, but I felt like N.E.R.D was an older band because they were trying to talk with a younger audience and they didn't know how. Especially okay, they did kind of well with Lemon, but when we went to 1000, for example, they tried the same strategy and failed.
Yeah, I think that sort of ties into some of the stuff that, when I spoke to Shay and did the interview with him, I sort of asked him kind of like, you know, during the kind of process of something happening with NERD, what his kind of actual practical involvement is, aside from just like, the music that gets created. And he was kind of saying like, he's the one that doesn't live in a bubble. He's the one that kind of has his ear to the street still and knows what's going on in kind of pop culture, and he can kind of help bring that information to the group and
Cool.
help define the album that way as well, or help influence the album.
Yeah, cool, man. Shout out to Shay, man. He disappeared.
Oh yeah, I have. He did pop up in the last sort of couple of weeks. It seems like Pharrell and all of his friends and team were taking an extended holiday in Dubai in their spectacular Bulgari residence hotel and on a nice yacht most days and stuff like that. I saw, and I did see a couple of little clips of Shay here and there. So Shay's out there
Yeah,
living his best life in Dubai on holiday.
nice, man.
So in the video, we didn't get any. N.E.R.D. There was obviously money in the budget, and they managed to get about 5 minutes of Rihanna's time. I don't know what she
Yeah,
charges per hour for a video shoot. I can imagine it's probably quite a lot, probably
yeah,
more than what what they'd put aside for the budget. So we briefly see her as the video opens, and
yeah,
it obviously opens with her shaving Meta's head in what looks like kind of an old motel room.
yeah, true. What a moment.
Yeah, a very unexpected kind of opening scene to a music video.
Yeah. That video is bigger than the song, 100%. Especially because Rihanna is shaving another woman's head and she starts to dance like amazingly. Yeah.
See, I was watching it back this week and last week while we were preparing for this. I think parts of the video are brilliant. Oh no, brilliant's maybe a bit much. Excellent, very good.
Yeah.
Whatever. But then there's other parts which I just found really cringy, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't. I personally felt that it hadn't aged very well in certain parts, and the main parts I'm talking about is her sort of twerking, and when she's kind of wearing the little Adidas shorts or hot pants or whatever you want to call them, and covered in glitter and stuff. Like those sort of parts, I didn't really like, but the rest of the video, like the kind of way it's shot, it's in like it's not a shopping mall. It's more like a mini mart type thing, I guess you would call it
Yeah.
in the US. I love that as a backdrop, and I love the way all the lighting was done, and a lot of the really long single shots they do of her dancing and kind of going around her and stuff like that. They're really well put together, really well choreographed, and generally a very good video. Yeah, but apart from those few parts where I was just like, you know, as a man, as a male, it's nice to see on the screen, let's say, but it's just one of those things that, yeah, I don't know, just
Yeah.
doesn't not. I was trying to think of the right way to put it. It's not that it doesn't sit right with me because, like, we've seen many music videos like that, and we've seen worse. But I don't know, stuff like that. I just feel it never ages particularly well, and meh.
Yeah, true. No, I think I agree with you like 100%. I love the mini market background, like the single shots that they do, like it's pretty cool. And the way that you see there's that the dances, some dance moves are choreographed, but most of them, like you feel like she's just there dancing and improvising, and I think it's one of the matches that they are trying to put out with the video, right? Like it's just this woman dancing, showing her, I don't know, her power through dance moves and her beauty also, and she's just doing freely, and that's pretty cool. And but I just don't agree with you 100% because the part that she's covering glitter doesn't bother me at all. I like it because yeah,
I'm sure
man,
you do. Yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
bother me. I just don't think it. I just don't think those sort of things age particularly well. That's probably me just getting old and just having a different sort of sense of what I expect to see in a music video, what I like to see. And I completely get it's not about being gratuitous or overly sexualizing it. It's more about, empowerment of her and her kind of, dancing how she wants and all that kind of thing. I completely get that.
yeah,
But yeah, I just feel that those things don't age particularly well, or just don't. I don't think they hold up particularly well when it comes to a music video.
yeah. No, but I get what you mean also because when you think about that video, you always think about Rihanna shaving her head and she dancing on the mini market. You don't even remember that part that she's covered in glitter because it's not memorable at all.
Apart from now, obviously,
Yeah.
we spend 5 minutes talking about it. And also, just to mention, in the edit as well, I quite liked some of the effects they use. They kind of intercut these like old home video style shots, kind
true.
of cut in with the obviously the modern cleaner shots with the kind of industrial lighting and stuff like that. I think that worked really well. I think they did that in 1000 as well. They used sort of similar shots and editing techniques and things. Looked really good, worked really well. Generally, pretty good video.
Yeah, true. I like it a lot. Yeah. I will give like 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, that's not bad. I would have said
Mm.
I'd have gone a
And I,
6.
yeah, I just give the note because remember when that video came out, like it was huge, man. It was a huge moment, and it felt like you would be a huge pop culture moment, but it fade out like kind of quickly. But I mean, it was
Yeah.
N.E.R.D, so it's hard to be that big when yes, you have Rihanna behind it, on it, but it's not that big of a deal, right? To hit the masses. But it felt like, well, oh, this is huge because Rihanna is on it, and this moment of her shaving another woman's head is amazing. And if you think about it, that what that video did for Matthew's career was amazing because she was everywhere, especially on fashion campaigns.
Yeah, with you saying that, it kind of surprises me that it didn't do as well as it did. I think like over the course of a year, it obviously did fairly well. It went, 3 times platinum, got into the top 100 kind of end of year charts.
Mm,
But I would have thought that as a first single from a band that had been away for many, many years, a really big name behind it as well, lots of marketing money behind it, and obviously a kind of a tour the following year as well with all the festivals and whatnot. I would have thought it. They were probably hoping for it to peak a bit higher in the charts and do a bit more.
yeah, true.
I'm not sure they would have been happy with a 36 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially because Rihanna was on a hiatus also, right? Like she was already like I don't know, like 3 years or 4 years without an album.
Yeah, and they teased like I think Pharrell and Rihanna both posted like a picture at the same time, didn't they, with one of the lines from the song about paparazzi.
Yeah,
And I think when those kind of social posts came out, there seemed to be loads of buzz around it and people hyped up, ready for it and stuff. But that didn't seem to translate into record sales or plays. Plays, maybe I shouldn't say that because I
mm,
wasn't listening to the radio at that time, and it may have been on the radio all the time. I don't know, but in terms of sales and chart position, it didn't translate.
yeah, true.
But let's talk a bit about the track because obviously you said you would maybe kind of prefer it to be an artist's track as opposed to an N.E.R.D track. So what's your take on like the OG version of this song? Because for those that aren't really aware, there's a few different versions of this song. So there's an OG version where there's no Rihanna and her
Mm,
verse is actually performed by Pharrell, and some of the lyrics are very slightly tweaked, which they obviously then rewrote for Rihanna. There's the radio edit, which you see in the music video as well, which takes out Pharrell's verse. And then there's I shudder saying it, the Drake remix. Ugh,
yeah,
ugh.
yeah,
And that's not in a good Pusha T ugh way. That's just in a way.
yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. What's your feeling on the OG version where it's just Pharrell on the track? Would you maybe have preferred that to have appeared on the album?
No, not at all. I prefer the Rihanna's version. The OG version is also pretty cool. Like it doesn't change because I heard the OG version after the Rihanna version came out. So my opinion about it was already like kind of made, and the song with just Pharrell, you feel like it's cool, but it also misses something. And they were 100% right to put Rihanna on it. Like she's kind of perfect for it. And I don't know. And also, there's something about her voice, right? Like the whole Rihanna style or swagger, maybe. Like the way that she pronounce the words and the way she rapping is amazing. It stands out a lot, and that's one of the other things that kind of annoys me is because it's like if Lemon was the stage was Rihanna's. It's not N.E.R.D, it's not Pharrell's. Like Rihanna's completely take out the song for her, and that's amazing because I like Rihanna a lot, and it works really, really well with her. Like I prefer her version 1,000 times over the only Pharrell version.
Really.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I would say I prefer Pharrell's delivery of the verse that Rihanna ends up doing.
Yeah,
But I think, like you say, I think if you listen back to that just Pharrell one, it's a little bit feels a little bit flat sometimes. So
yeah,
it probably did need something else in there. And I think, yeah, getting Rihanna in there and, a female vocalist, and like you say, the way she delivers certain things and her voice really kind of adds to it as well. What I maybe would have liked is instead of her performing that Pharrell verse, to have had like a new verse written, maybe.
yeah. True.
Because I think the chorus is quite sort of repetitive.
Yeah,
And I felt that the track could have done with, yeah, like another verse in there, maybe even a short verse. And I would like to have, yeah, maybe heard Pharrell have those two verses and then, yeah, like an extra one from Rihanna. And then when you do the radio edit or you do the video version, you can still cut a Pharrell verse. You can still keep one. And then you've still got Rihanna in there as well.
yeah. And I would love to hear Shay on it also, just to see how it will be.
Yeah.
Mm.
The sad thing is, if you're putting a Pharrell verse, a Shay verse, and a Rihanna verse, you know who's getting cut on the radio edit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%.
Poor Shay. Poor Shay.
Yeah. But I would prefer the to the OG version to be Pharrell, just Pharrell and Che, just to see like just both of them, just to see how it will be, and that would be more N.E.R.D than the original version.
Yeah, and I'm always intrigued with like the N.E.R.D stuff as to like whether they've done demos with Shay doing parts of it, or Shay having a verse, or having a bit more of a sort of direct involvement. Because this track was like a fair few years old. Yeah, so obviously it came out 2017. From what I remember and what I heard, it had been sat around on a hard drive for 4 or 5 years or something.
Oh wow.
And when they decided to put the album together, Mike Larson was tasked with basically getting all the hard drives and just going through everything and just re-listening to all the old stuff and just saying like, could this be useful? Could we take this part of this song? Could we use this thing? And just collecting all the kind of bits that sounded like they could come together to make an album. And obviously this was one of the tracks that was on there. I don't know this, but I get the feeling that they wrote it. Pharrell did those two verses, and that was probably the plan. So there may have been other demos before that, and may have had involvement from Shay and more involvement from Chad, perhaps. Well, I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that kind of room when the likes of Mike are just going through all those hard drives and just
Oh man.
playing all those Neptunes and N.E.R.D
Wow.
beats and demos and stuff like that to kind of really get a feel of how it starts out and what it then evolves into. Because I think there are quite a few like Pharrell related or Neptunes related demos out there in the wild that have been leaked over the years.
True.
I think a lot of like the Madonna ones, they're out there,
Yeah. True.
and there's and Shay's on some of those where he then doesn't he doesn't appear on the final version of the track on the album or the single. So if Shay is around and he's in the studio, he's obviously having some involvement. So yeah, I'd like to get my hands on all those old N.E.R.D demos and stuff, and I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, man, 100%. And especially because I feel no, I really miss to see uh Pharrell or even the Neptunes like studio footage. Like we don't have that anymore
Yeah.
from them. And I think it's sad because I feel like a nice percentage of their fan base started to they became fans because of the studio footage. And all of a sudden they decided to no, we're not putting out anymore.
Yeah, well, like, the Midnight Hour one, the
Oh,
Justified stuff, all of those amongst us fans, those things are absolutely iconic because you can see in real time
exactly.
the process of actually, making one of those sort of iconic songs, famous songs. But I guess when you're a producer, the more famous you become and the more work you're doing with higher profile people, the less you can allow stuff like that to get out there. Because I don't think that, like both of those things, like all of the Justified stuff, there was what 7 DVDs worth of stuff or whatever it was back in the day when you could buy the whole case of it. And then
Yeah,
the Midnight Hour stuff, like none of that was like supposed to come out. That's people
yeah,
like Family recording in the studio, for just for their own reference purposes, for their own enjoyment. And then they end up getting leaked and end up making it out there, and then people just kind of assume it was meant to happen, but I don't think any of that ever was.
yeah,
And
true.
then, like you say, obviously nowadays you can't even, if you go to his recording studio in Paris at the Louis Vuitton office, the second you walk in there, there's a sign in the elevator saying no cameras. There's a sign on every single door in there saying no cameras allowed. I would imagine even if you took your phone out while you were there, somebody within 1.5 seconds would be rugby tackling you to the ground and giving you a bollocking and telling you off.
Exactly. Yeah, but what a shame, man.
Yes, it would be good to get some more of that stuff. I can't remember if I said this on the podcast previously. I might have done. When I interviewed Eric from Spy Mob, he very kindly afterwards sent me lots of stuff that he'd recorded in the studio with them,
Oh,
which is like never leaked and it's never been out there or anything. So I've been very lucky to see that behind the scenes kind of footage. And I just wish, more of it sort of became available because it's really, really interesting to kind of witness that and witness the dynamics of them, working as well. Because I think like during the Midnight Hour one, it's just Pharrell sort of sat there doing his own thing, really. In the Justified stuff, it's all fairly happy, positive, and they're making these really kind of upbeat tracks. But then in some of the sort of videos I've seen and things I've heard about, it's not so quite so happy. And there are people in the
yeah, yeah.
studio getting shouted at and getting told off, and you know
Yeah, yeah, true, man. It can be really tense. I would
the
imagine.
dynamics can be very, very different sometimes, which is really interesting to see.
Yeah, true, true.
But then I guess that's why that footage is never leaked, and nobody messaged me asking me for it because you will not get a copy. I've been sworn to never share it with anybody, and I will stick to that promise.
Yeah, very good, man.
So the final version of this track, we should just mention it. Would be remiss of us if we didn't. The official Drake remix, which came out, I want to say a couple of months later, maybe, or a few months later.
Yeah,
Awful.
awful.
Now, again, this was when Drake was still massive. Like with Rihanna, one of the biggest artists in the world. Everyone, not everyone, but most people still loved him. So again, you would have thought an official remix coming out with him on it would be really popular and would do something. From what I remember, it's not in the show notes, but from what I remember when I looked it up, it did get an official release. It only charted in New Zealand. And I think in New Zealand it got to like 30 something or 40 something. I don't even have this remix in my Apple Music library because it's just
Yeah,
so shit.
yeah, man. It's pretty lame.
Like his
Horrible.
rhymes are weak, his flow is really off and really whack. Like it's just it hurts to listen to it.
Yeah, true. Especially because it's Drake. Like when it comes to flow and lyrics, like I don't care when it comes to lyrics when Drake is rapping. But when you think about flow, like Drake really put some work on his flows always, and it was not one of those moments.
No, it really wasn't. It was very off. So yeah, I would say if you haven't heard the Drake remix, one, you're not missing much. And two, I wouldn't advise you go and look it up. I think it is on Apple Music and Spotify and stuff, but unless you're very, very bored, you know, don't go looking for it. Avoid it.
Yeah, but I remember when the remix came out. There were some rumors that they also recorded, like Drake also recorded his verse when Rihanna recorded her verse because they were in the studio together at some point with Pharrell. Like I don't know, maybe like 2 years before the track came out, something like that. I don't remember really well, but I remember some rumors about that.
Okay.
Also, the rumors that the song was done for P. Diddy. Because it's the same, maybe it's the same era. Yeah, because Finna Get Loose came out in 2014, 2015, something like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of you can see some of the same vibes going on the track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It surprises me that if Drake's verse was recorded, quite some time before it came out, that they actually chose and signed off to release it as an official remix. Because, like, we're not, people listening to this will know we're not big Drake fans. It's an understatement, I would say.
amen.
Even objectively, it's just not a good remix. It's just not good input from Drake. So, Pharrell would have had to have signed that off at some point. And I'm surprised it got through basically.
Yeah, but uh, if you think about it, a year earlier, work like they have the single together, right? Rihanna and Drake work,
Yeah.
and that was huge. So
Hmm.
they were probably like, oh, just going to put out this Neptune's beat with Rihanna and Drake on it, and it's going to work, and it didn't.
Yeah. The last kind of point I've got on this is again reading back sort of through the lyrics and listening to it again sort of over and over. I'd forgot kind of how political some of the lyrics are. And obviously we see that a lot through the No One Ever Really Dies album because it's when Trump is first becoming sort of prominent in politics and stuff. But yeah, it's a for a fairly poppy, radio friendly, club friendly sort of single. It's kind of overtly political as well, especially the second verse where Pharrell's talking about being questioned around his own sort of beliefs and which kind of side say side in air quotes he's on, and he kind of seems to kind of overtly reference Donald Trump as well, where he says, I tried to tell you about this dude. So sneaking some politics in there as well, which I guess is kind of classic N.E.R.D because you find out in all their albums. But as I say, just for a single that was kind of quite so commercial and poppy, it surprised me to go back and sort of read over that again.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Like you said, like is this approach is all over the album, and again, they also try to do kind of the same thing on 2000 or 1000.
Yeah.
Like, and if you pay attention to Future's verse, like there's nothing to do with the rest of the song. but the song is kind of political. So yeah, I think it was the vibe that Pharrell was on it because even before Trump's, he was already speaking about how maybe the USA needed a woman in the main chair. So Pharrell was talking about kind of was talking about politics for a while now.
Yeah, they kind of always have, and I think back then I think publicly endorsed Hillary Clinton, and
Yeah,
also later on Kamala Harris as well. But yes, there is lots of Trump type references throughout the album, and talk of what was happening in the US at the time, and well, now it's just 1,000 times worse.
yeah, true, man. And they should come out of the shadows again.
Exactly, this is like the exact time that we need and want them to make an album and have a message.
Yeah. So Pharrell and Shad, if you guys are hearing right now, work it out, man. Go hug each other.
Yes,
Stop this and just give us an album, a new album,
yeah.
please. Thank you.
The three of you get in a room, hug it out, and
Yeah.
yeah, get on with it.
Yeah, Shay, you are the older one. Get these people together.
Surely Shay can be the mediator, yeah, in between the two of them, and bang their heads together.
Yeah, man.
One final point, obviously, this song and most of the songs on this album are sample heavy, which is not something N.E.R.D and the Neptunes do an awful lot. They obviously do sample some stuff, but they don't do a huge amount of it. But there's quite a lot of it throughout this album for various different reasons, which we've talked about previously. But in this one, we've got a couple of ones that were sort of viral, I guess, at the time, or at least one of them was. So you've got the U.S. Senator Arlen Specter, who gives us the "Wait a Minute," which is used kind of throughout the song,
Hmm.
and then we've got a couple other samples from Wretch, UK artist, which were kind of viral at the time and are still kind of quite well known now. And
Yeah,
also those samples were used in 123 Victory remix as well that Pharrell did. So he reused those a couple of times.
yeah, true.
All right. Anything else on this track we want to talk about?
No, I think this is it. I just wanted to say that besides, oh, they should have asked Childish Gambino to be on the remix. It will work way better, in my opinion.
It's not a bad shout.
Yeah,
I
especially
think
at
it's
that
one of those
time.
kind of, it's quite a quirky beat, I feel. If you listen to the instrumental, it is quite quirky. And I'd like
Yeah.
to think there are quite a lot of other rappers other than Drake that I think you could put on there that could do
Oh
something
wow.
really interesting on it and something different. Again, like we saw on the album, Andre 3000 jumping on stuff, Kendrick on stuff as well. Like
Yeah.
I would like to have maybe seen one of those guys do some kind of remix for it.
Yeah. Maybe Anderson Paak also. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We can but dream.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Nah, the time is past.
Yes, it was a long time ago as well.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm going to give this one a solid 6.5 overall.
Yeah. Me too. As a N.E.R.D song, four.
Doesn't sit high in their catalogue of work for you.
Yeah. Nah.
Fair enough. Let's get on to some news and stuff then, because there's various bits and pieces to talk about from the last few weeks. I was looking forward to talking about this at the time while it was actually happening, but obviously we didn't. And that was the Kid Cudi Jupiter auction that happened. So, as with all of the other Jupiter auctions they've done, it was Kid Cudi auctioning off some of his items. So lots of jewelry, clothes, sneakers. There was a mixture of things in there, accessories and stuff. There were three items that I kind of noticed and kind of wanted to keep an eye on. So there was the first one was like the Cudi pendant that he'd had made with like the puffy chain, the same as like Pharrell had back in sort of
Yeah.
'06. That sold for underestimate at 42,000. There were some Louis Vuitton Air Force Ones. I think they might have been friends and family ones. They sold for 80,000. So
Damn.
a pair of Air Force Ones sold for twice as much as a jewel encrusted pendant and chain.
Welcome to the sneaker world.
Yeah. And then the main one was the N.E.R.D chain that Cudi had actually only bought about 6 months prior from Pharrell, or maybe it was a bit longer than 6 months, but it wasn't that long ago. He'd bought from Pharrell in the Jupiter auction. I think it went for 750,000 when he bought it. So you add on, the fees and everything, you're talking nearly $1 million that Cudi paid for that chain. He
Jesus.
sold it, and it sold for $250,000. Now, that's bad or not good in the first instance. But what transpires in the last week or so is it seems like Drake was the one that went in there and bought it.
Damn, man. What a creep, man.
Absolute trolling.
Yeah,
Absolute
man.
shithouse.
What a creepy, man.
Yeah, so somebody posted a picture on it. It was on a Drake related account, I think, for one of his businesses, with what I assume is Drake hands holding the chain, but holding it in front of the other ones that he originally bought from Pharrell, which he has on display in his house in these big kind of glass cases and stuff, which do look really good, to be fair. So he was holding it out, so it looks like Drake bought it, which I can imagine probably didn't please Kid Cudi
Yeah,
or anyone else kind of related to it, but
yeah,
I guess you can't really do much about that. But then also, Cudi losing $500,000 on this chain in less than a year is wild.
yeah, it is, man.
The only thing I can assume, and somebody out there, like, please correct me if you know more about US tax laws than I do, which is probably most people. The only thing I can assume is that he can maybe write off the loss, the difference in his taxes or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that 500,000, he can, perhaps offset that against his taxes for the year or something like that. Because it's a physical item you've purchased and resold. And I'm sure he didn't do it through his, like, his personal bank account. I'm sure it was done through, like, his business account and stuff. So I'm sure there's some loophole in the tax system that would probably allow him to, write that off. You seem to be able to do that in the US quite a lot with, pretty much anything.
Yeah, yeah, true. That makes sense. Or maybe he's just laundering money.
Not that anyone important is listening, but for the sake of any lawyer that may come across this in the future at any point, allegedly, allegedly, we have no proof whatsoever. The views of Rafa do not necessarily represent the views of everyone else involved in this podcast.
And also, I'm joking.
You're
Don't sue me.
joking, and it's allegedly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I would think if you were an international music artist who wanted to launder money, there would probably be less conspicuous ways of doing it than
Oh, yeah,
bidding
true.
on $1 million chains on an auction site
Yeah, yeah.
and then reselling them to one of the biggest artists on the planet.
Yeah, yeah, true. So the worst version is like Kid Cudi just make a really bad deal.
Yeah.
I just want to, I want someone to ask him why.
Yeah.
I need explanation. I need answers.
Because I just sort of think, obviously, if you've got that much money, you can kind of like, you don't think a lot of these things through, I'm sure, but he must have an accountant. He must have somebody, a business manager, somebody advising him. And I'm sure when he first bought that chain, they were like $1 million. What? Like that's a lot of money for that chain. And I'm just wondering, like, did they have a plan? Did they think? yeah, okay, I'll keep it for 6 months or a year, and then I'll sell it again, and and I can write off the taxes, or I can do something with the loss that I make. Was that a plan overall, or did he genuinely just spend $1 million just because, like, he loves Pharrell, he loves the culture, wanted to own a part of it, and then 6 months later just go, do you know what? Don't really want it anymore. Because he was wearing it quite a lot as well.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
wore it to a
In
show.
shootings,
He
right?
wore it in some photo shoots and stuff. And I saw it on his Instagram a few times, I think. So, he was obviously being utilized. Yeah. Did he just change his mind and go, oh, actually, yeah, do you know what? I don't want it anymore?
Yeah. No, it also sounds right. Sounds like those type of stories, like when you get drunk and you,
You're up late.
what?
Yeah. A night on eBay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've done that. You
So
wake
yeah,
up,
yeah,
you wake up and there's a horse outside your apartment and you're like, when did I buy this?
yeah, exactly. And he didn't even know how much was it. And after 6 months, he was like, "I spent how much on this? Let's let's sell this. I don't need this. It was a lot of money."
Yeah. A very bizarre set of circumstances.
Yeah, but he got the profits on the Air Force One, so he's okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of the other there were bits and pieces that sold sort of underestimate, but there was a lot of stuff as well that kind of went overestimate. So I think it all probably evens out eventually. I think again, I did have my eye on a couple of the, let's say cheaper pieces, but then I completely forgot about the auction happening and I logged onto my computer and it had ended 24 hours previously. So I missed out on everything anyway. But
Yeah,
there wasn't anything in there I was like, overly really fussed about, really getting. There were just a couple of nice things I thought, oh, that would be quite cool to have. But yeah.
yeah, true.
Slightly cheaper things that you can collect. If you are a fan of doodles, the Daisy character from what's the song called? The Pharrell produced song that came out a little while ago is now
Mm,
available, a vinyl figure for €175. I think we said like a number of months back when this came out, they should do more merchandise around the doodle stuff
true.
and do like, vinyl figures and the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. So that is available now, €175. I don't know what that is in US dollars. You'll have to click on the link in the show notes and it will tell you. But that's available. We've also had Complex Con Hong Kong, if I can say it, happen. What was that? 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think. BBC Ice Cream had a little area there with different kind of collaborations. The most notable one was with Casanova Vintage, the store that we've mentioned on here a few times previously, a Japanese kind of reseller store that kind of deals in really kind of high end luxury goods. They've also bought a number of the Pharrell and Nigo things from Jupiter Auctions in the past. They had like a nice collaboration with BBC Ice Creams. They did some T-shirts with the BBC, kind of OG arch logo, saying I think it was Casanova Boys Club. But then the one thing everyone was after was they released a new colorway for the Diamond and Dollar hoodie. So it was like a white version with then like multicolor diamonds and dollars. Looked really, really nice. I know a few people reached
Yeah,
out to
man.
me to like see if it was being released and where they could get it and stuff like that. And I know a couple of people that managed to grab one. It was being sold on the Casanova Vintage website. I'm assuming BBC Hong Kong maybe stocked it as well, and maybe BBC Japan, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't wear zip ups anymore. I'm not a fan of zip up hoodies. If they'd made this in just a normal hoodie, I would have definitely got one because it was a really nice colorway, really nice design.
Yeah, cool, man. I haven't even seen, but I saw the Casanova Arch logo T-shirt. Man, I am. I'm still pretty interested on that.
They are nice,
Yeah, yeah,
and
man.
I assume there's some still available on their web store as well. I think the hoodies sold out pretty quickly. I think when I looked, they still had a few of the sizes available, but t-shirts were still available. So yeah, if you're a fan, then yeah, you can probably still jump onto their website and grab one of them.
Yeah, true.
And then speaking of BBC, as of yesterday, and we're recording this on this Wednesday, the 16th of April, there was a new BBC EU collection that dropped. To me, this is one of their strongest releases in recent years.
Yeah, man, 100%.
Some really nice pieces here. The standout items to me were the kind of watermelon colorway items. So there's like a rugby polo shirt with the kind of big thick pink and green stripes, and then it's got the
Yeah,
astronaut head on the back, which looks really good. And then there's a hoodie as well with the same sort of colorway with the pink and green, which looks really nice. And then that comes in like two colorways actually as well. Even the blue and the green version looks nice. You've then got a couple of nice like gradient hoodies. There's like a blue version and a black version. My only problem with these is they're listed or named oversized.
oh,
So I've complained many times about BBC EU sizing and how it varies quite a lot. So I've got no idea how oversized these are. I'll have to like check the measurements. But the blue one's really nice. And then there's a couple of hoodies which I really liked. I'm just trying to find it. So it's called the Resort Popover hoodie. I really like that one as well. And then again, you've got the usual Arch logo t-shirts with different patterns and stuff like that. But generally, a really strong collection.
yeah, I like it too. Like my favorite thing is the leather bomber jacket.
Yep,
I
that's
think
really nice as well.
is
Yep.
is 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 that blue? It's kind of blue
Yeah, it's
greenish,
like
something like that, right?
like a dark blue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like that stands out so much, and the print on the back is pretty cool. I don't even like big prints like that on the back of a jacket or a hoodie or anything, but that looks pretty good. And I think it was interesting to me because when you sent me the link to see this collection, the first thing that came to my mind was uh, Aimee Leon Dore. Do you know the brand?
Yeah.
It was the first thing because I think the way they shot the lookbook and even the some of the colors, like especially the green, that is pretty predominant on the collection. Yeah, but and I instantly thought, oh, I like this because it relates to this other brand that I like. But when you say, oh, I also like this a lot, and I was like, oh no, it's not just because of that. Like this, there's something else in here, and it's pretty different. I even ask you, like, oh, they changed the designers because it's also really different from, it's not just good, it's different. And I think that's why it's one of the reasons that it stands out a little bit from the previous collections. It's different.
Yeah, definitely. I think this collection I would say has slightly more kind of commercial appeal to it because we've seen like BBC EU in the past really kind of follow the edge trends of fashion. So like I'm trying to think of some examples. We've more recently seen a lot of the workwear type stuff, which I don't particularly like, especially on the ice cream range of things. And then before that, we've seen like the really baggy kind of tracksuit bottoms and kind of big trousers and stuff, which I'm not a massive fan of. But obviously, I get that they're kind of of the time and fashionable, so they kind of follow those
Yeah,
trends. But
true.
yeah, this stuff looks less like that, although there are obviously elements of that here. And this is kind of more catered, yeah, towards a more kind of commercial audience. This is going to appeal to more people that kind of walk in off the street and see it on the rack in Selfridges or in another store somewhere,
Yeah,
as opposed to some of the other stuff, which I think was maybe a bit more niche at times, and you had to be more into kind of BBC as a brand or fashion at that time.
yeah, true. And another thing that I like about this collection is like is all those things that we already said about it, but it's still BBC. Okay, it doesn't. lost their
Yeah.
identity, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So yeah, there'll be a link in the show notes if you want to go and have a look at that. I can fully imagine that this collection will probably sell better than some of the previous collections. I know normally with their collections, when there's then kind of a sale a few months later, you can normally pick up a lot of the bits in the sale. I think with this collection, certainly the kind of flamingo popover, the kind of striped rugby top that I talked about, the oversized hoodie, and yeah, that leather jacket and the resort popover hoodie. I think they're items that will probably sell fairly well. And I think if any items do make it to the sales, kind of what we now April, so probably in the summer, there's going to be probably limited sizes because I imagine they're going to sell most of them. So yeah,
Yeah,
go and check that out. Other new releases, some sneakers. We have a new Nigo pair of sneakers being released, or a pair of pairs. So he's coming out with another pair of Air Force 3s with Nike, similar to the previous two drops he's done. But this time we get a sort of 80s inspired, I would say, kind of luxury white and black version of the Air Force 3. I think the white looks amazing. It's like, white leather with like gold accents and I say 80s inspired because they both have like a little kind of gold chain hanging off the front of them. And we all know like Nigo is a big fan of, kind of 80s hip hop and stuff like that. They look great. I don't wear white sneakers, so I won't get a pair. But the black pair, if I can get a pair, I probably will.
nice. Yeah, it looks good, man. Yeah, and that's one of the examples that about the thing that I was talking about, how sometimes you just have to talk with your audience and not try to speak with a younger audience. And that's one thing that Nigo does really, really well. He's always speaking with the past, with nostalgia. And and also the campaign, like all the campaigns that Nigo did for his Nike items, like
Brilliant.
fire. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Pretty cool, man.
And that's what I really like about these Air Force 3s. Like, I'm not a fan generally of Air Force 3s of the silhouette, but I love what he's done with them because he's just looked at them and gone, okay, what am I interested in? I don't care about current trends or anything like that. I love Planet of the Apes, as we all know he does.
Yeah,
So he's done a number of them that are inspired by Planet of the Apes, including the marketing and the packaging and the colorways and the materials. And now we're seeing a pair that kind of seem to relate to his love of 80s hip hop music. Again, like 80s hip hop music isn't making some kind of big comeback at the moment. 80s hip hop fashion isn't making a big comeback at the moment.
yeah.
But he's like, no, that's what I love. That's the kind of focus I want to put on these shoes and the route I want to go down. And he goes down it and he delivers it.
Yeah, it's part of his brand, right?
Yeah.
Like if I feel like one of the brands, Nigo's brands is this like time machine. Like it's always going back to get good stuff to present for us right now in the future.
Yeah. And we even saw that at Bape.
Yeah, man.
Nobody was making like, multicolored sneakers and stuff out of leather. And he was like, I want to do it. I think this would look really cool. And a lot of those kind of colorways, they refer back to certain things in music and in kind of popular culture. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to throw him on a patent leather shoe.
Yeah,
Like no one was doing that. And obviously all the kind of crazy camo stuff and the multicolored stuff that he kind of came out with Bape as well. Again, no one was really doing that, but he loved it. He wanted to put them out there. He did, and he sold millions.
yeah, yeah, true. Oh, it just a quick shout out to the new collection that Bape put out with KidSuper. Man, it
Yes, I saw
looks
that.
so cool, man. Like, in my opinion, one of the best Bape collabs in years. Pretty cool. And and Kid Super also being like a huge Bape fan, like he did his job, and he also like brought this nostalgia feeling back for to us, and I think the way he used Kaisenat and his business partner, because there's a Asian guy that's always filming him and participating on his video. It was uh, it was genius to put those guys together because it kind of relates with Pharrell being black and Nigo being Asian, and he used that on his behalf, and also like of course using someone like Casey Nat to promote this collection was, I mean, huge, a huge accomplishment. Oh, what is the word?
Yeah,
Accomplishment?
accomplishment. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. So yeah, man. And I wanted one of those babes, like so bad, one of those sneakers, but it sold out like so quickly. My heart was broken, but maybe in the future with a reseller or maybe.
Yeah.
I was even asking SneakerDenn like, oh man, do you put your hands on it on that pair? And he was like, no, no, I saw other pairs, but not that one specifically. This one that is kind of pinkish with olive colors. Man, looks so good. Yeah,
Yeah, I have to say, like the Bape stuff of the last couple of years seems to really be improving. It is getting better and better. I still wouldn't buy anything Bape, but it's good to kind of see them as a brand still sort of doing well and kind of going back to their roots a little bit. I feel with some of the kind of items I've seen, some of the colorways I've seen as well,
yeah,
and then doing some more kind of interesting collaborations. Because I think the problem with Bape for quite a long time, especially after Nigo left, was they would just collaborate with anyone. If anyone approached them and said, "We'll give you some money for a collaboration," they would just do it.
yeah,
And I think a lot of those collaborations weren't great, to be perfectly honest. So it's good to kind of see them now. I think being a little bit more sensible over who they collab with and doing less of them and making them of like a higher quality. Because yeah, even when I saw these ones, I was like, oh yeah, they do look nice. They do look good.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool. And also, I was paying attention for their new collection, especially in the last, I don't know, 2 years, and they are finally putting new stuff out. Really news, like you can see that they are trying to push the boundaries and do something different. And I think the Nike lawsuit on the Bapesters was a huge deal for that, because I think they were like, oh, we have to change some things and we can keep the shoe, but we have just changed some things. So I think they might feel like, oh, so we changed this, so maybe we change other things also. So it's being cool to see that finally.
Yeah, I just kind of felt over the years that they were obviously just doing all these kind of weird and wonderful collaborations, and then it just felt like they were just almost retroing all of their designs just like over and over again. There was nothing really new coming from them, but
Yeah,
it seems like now that there is kind of, again, whether they've got new designers or whatever, I don't know, or just a new sort of strategy. It seems that there's some more modern stuff coming out of them and some different takes on some of the kind of classic designs and stuff. So it's good to see.
yeah, yeah, true. And I think it's the same feeling to see like this new Billionaire Boys Club campaign. It's so cool to see they are doing something different. It was unexpected, and I feel like BBC kind of suffers the same thing that Babe suffers. Is like always trying to work on nostalgia, or the same brand, not of an era, but of the same brand. Like they always like bringing a lot of things back, and I think it's okay because they were allowed to survive for all this time. But it's not like, I don't know. I would like Stussy, for example. Like they always putting something new every year because it's part of their brand. Like they cannot do like throwbacks a lot because it's not going to work for them.
Yeah. Also, speaking of SneakerDenn, before I forget, if you are in the London area, he currently has a pop up store in London. I can't remember the specific address. I'll put a link in the show notes to his Instagram post about it or his Instagram, so you can go on there and find it. But he has lots of rare and interesting sneakers and some clothing there as well. So if you're in the London area and you want to go check out some very nice and a few very, very expensive sneakers, then be sure to pop by. I think it's going until the end of June, I want to say, because I'm in London in the middle of June, and I said I would stop by to see him. So there's still a fair bit of time if you want to swing by there and check it out, and buy some sneakers and support somebody else in the community.
Nice, cool. Shout out to SneakerDenn, man.
Yep. Couple of other shout outs. Shout out to Swifty Jones and Christopher from the Pink Water Chronicles podcast. They were very kind enough to feature us in their latest digital magazine that they put out that goes with their podcast. You'll see a nice full page feature for our podcast there. So very kind of them. They are, old friends of this show and myself. I would say if you are a fan of US sports, popular culture, music, life in general, like definitely go and check out their podcast, The Pink Water Chronicles. I listen to it, have done for years, really enjoy it. They've just come back from a bit of a hiatus as well. So they've got new music coming. They've obviously got this new kind of digital magazine out as well. So a big shout out to them. And hopefully we'll try and get them back on the podcast at some point. I know they are both obviously, Christopher's been on here before. Swifty Jones hasn't, but I know they are both big Neptunes and Pharrell fans. So let's hope to get them back on here in the future at some point. Also, a little Instagram shout out. If you follow either myself or Rafa, you probably follow another account called Not Too Busy Workshop, which obviously play on the name of Nigo's original stores for Bape. Great guy, posts lots and lots of interesting content. I look at accounts like that and I wish that's what I could do with our account, but I just don't have the time or the patience. I get annoyed just having to switch to the other account, let alone posting stuff and going backwards and forwards. But he also has like a newish account where he's selling stuff. So a lot of BBC stuff on there, as well as other brands. And that's Not Too Busy Vault. So again, there'll be a link in the show notes. But if you're after kind of OG Bape, OG BBC stuff, you should definitely head over there and check out his page because he's got some really good stuff, including some grails, which he may or may not post as well in the future. It may become available for people to buy. I'll certainly be keeping my eyes peeled on what he's putting up. And then, last but not least, things that we've purchased in the last few weeks since we've been away. I've got a few bits and pieces. One of these I'm going to blame on SneakerDenn.
Oh.
As we've already mentioned him. So I actually saw this pair of sneakers when they first got released, and I thought, I really, really like them. And I just never got around to buying a pair. And then SneakerDenn posted an image recently of him wearing a pair, and he said he just bought them or something. And he said they were really comfy and they were really nice shoes. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have a look, see if they're still available online. Searched online. First Finish web store I came across, they were 50% off.
Ooh.
So I thought, straight in the basket. I'm having those Nike Air Pegasus 2005 in the fierce pink colorway. So they are mainly black, but they've got a really kind of bright pink accent to them. I haven't worn them yet, but they look lovely, and I'm waiting to wear them at some point soon, maybe this weekend, because I'm going to sort of have a couple of days away over Easter. So I might wear them for when I'm sort of out and about and walking around the city. But I grabbed those, and like I say, half price, so they were a bit of a bargain. Some people may have seen previously I have posted that I have I think it's a season 3 green money rolls BBC jacket. I had a double XL version, which had some of the weirdest sizings I've ever encountered on a jacket. The jacket kind of fit, although it was a bit baggy, but the arms were like, yeah, they would hang, the armpit would like hang down nearly by my waist. Absolutely massive, made for the man with the largest arms on the planet. It was just way too big. It was a really awkward fit. I've worn it only once or twice just because it felt so awkward to wear it. I managed to swap it for a size down, which I have to say I still haven't tried on, but I'm sure it fits. I'm sure it's lovely. With friend of the podcast, Reginald Stewart. So again, if you follow us, you probably follow him on Instagram. He's regularly buying and selling kind of OG BBC bits and pieces. So he's had the XL size for a little while. He wanted to kind of size up. So we swapped that. And as part of the deal, because he was keen, I also managed to get one of the recent BBC 20th anniversary Swarovski t-shirts as well. Now, there's not many of those around. I know they released them in very limited quantities when they kind of came out. And I've not seen many people wearing them. So I'm now the proud owner of that. Again, I might wait until the summer's here and break that out and pretend I'm Pharrell in the Drop It Like It's Hot video
Nice.
with my blinging t-shirt. But yeah, we'll see. And then one final thing I've picked up recently, I couldn't resist. I've been thinking about it for a long, long time. I'm finally managed to get something from Pharrell's Louis Vuitton collection.
Ooh,
Yeah,
what is it?
so I already had a Louis Vuitton card holder. Again, I'm not splurging. I'm not buying. Not out there buying like denim jackets and jeans and sneakers. I'm at the card holder level of things. But I managed to get one of the card holders from his most recent collection. So it's like a black version, a black leather card holder with the kind of multicolored LV logos on it that are kind of like in an iridescent kind of colorway. It's a thing of absolute beauty.
Mhm.
There's a white version you can get as well, which I didn't think looked quite as nice. The colors pop amazingly on the black version. So I grabbed that. I got to give a shout out to Alexandra at Louis Vuitton in Helsinki, who hooked me up with that one and is hopefully hooking me up with some more stuff in the near future. But I won't say what I'm potentially going to buy yet, just in case I don't. But we'll see. I've gone from spending all my money on BBC stuff to now spending it on Louis Vuitton stuff.
Man, you're insane, man. This first 4 months of this year, like I I was able to get another, especially Nike's release on the last 4 months, and man, the last one that I bought was the Jordan 4 SBs by Nigo Sylvester,
Oh, I knew you were going to bring
brick by
this up.
brick. Man,
I
they look
hate you.
so good, man.
Oh,
They look
I keep seeing your
amazing,
pictures
man.
and it makes me angry. I entered so many raffles, and normally I'm quite lucky with Jordan stuff. Didn't get any raffle. I was on there the second they went on sale. I had a pair in my basket within 2 seconds, and it was like
Oh man.
checking you out. Please hold on. And I sat there and I held on and I held on, and then it just went after like 10 minutes of me waiting. It just went, sorry, not available anymore. You fucking
Damn, man.
fuck. Oh. And then I messaged you and I was like, I didn't get them. And you were like, I got them.
But for my luck, I it wasn't it wasn't really me that got him, but it was my lady. So shout out to Juliana. She got him. She got them from me, man.
Amazing.
Because I also took the L. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, they look, man, it's one of the best. It will be the probably the best sneakers of the year. Just in terms of quality details, storytelling, the way they promote it. I don't know if you saw it, but a picture that went viral was here in Spain because some old ladies they were trying to
I
get
saw that.
the
Yeah.
sneakers for for someone, and in the
I think that
photo
was
they were like so
I think that was
excited.
set up.
It was a video.
Yeah, I
Oh
think that
yeah,
was it was set up. Yeah,
it will probably was, but it looks especially in the video, it looks pretty natural, man. They did a very good job on it. So yeah, man, everything about the sneakers is pretty cool, and I'm in love. I haven't worn them yet. Just at inside the house, and I don't even know when I'm going to do it because it feels so precious for me right now
yeah.
because it's so good.
Even the old ladies get to cop a pair, and I don't.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I liked your very positive message back to me when I was messaging you about. You were like, "Hey, don't worry, you'll probably be able to get a pair on, like, from a reseller for only a few euros more." And I was like, "That's never going to happen." And as soon as I looked, like the cheapest pair were like 500. So, oh
Oh,
god,
really?
yeah,
No, man. You can find it for way less. I think I
not
saw them
not over here.
for yeah. I think I saw them for 350 something. Yeah,
That's not too bad, I guess.
yeah, yeah. You can see something on Vinted. Like people are selling there for cheap. No, I mean it's not cheap. Like cheap, it will be retail price, but you can find some good. And you can always bargain.
Yeah, I might have a scout around at some point soon. But yeah, the ones that I saw in the groups here in Finland, the people that got them, they were all selling for at least 500.
Yeah,
So I was just like, oh, I'm out. I'm not paying that for them as much as I want them.
yeah.
Apart from those, anything else you've got recently?
Yeah, I just want to ask if you have any news on the Buttersoft Louis Vuitton sneakers.
They'll be out soon. They'll be out probably in July or August. Yeah. So they'll come out as part of the next season's release. I think Louis Vuitton announced that they would be around July time, end of July.
Yeah,
So I still haven't seen any others in person. I haven't seen any others online apart from the ones that came out kind of when the show happened. So I guess they're kind of in production at the moment, and we'll probably start seeing them. I don't know. I guess they probably start seeding them out to kind of influencers and VIP clients. I don't know what, June maybe, sort of start of the summer, end of
nice,
June, and then I think they'll get like proper release towards the end of July. I think it'll be.
nice, man. I'm probably not gonna get them because it's too expensive. But I don't know why, but I really want to see in person because they look real cool on the photos and videos. All of the videos and photos that I saw, they look really good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go and try a pair. Again, I will reach out to my friendly contact at LV to make sure they let me know when they kind of come in, because I think they'll sell out sort of fairly quickly. And here in Helsinki, they
Mm,
don't get a lot of stock for stuff like that. Really kind of sought after stuff. So when they come in, I definitely want to get down there and try a pair on and see what they're like. Again, I don't think I'll be buying them as much as I would want a pair. I can't justify spending 1.5 grand on a pair.
yeah.
That's even too much for my stupid ass. But I will definitely go and look at them and check out the colors, check out how they fit and what they feel like, and get a sort of feeling for them, just so at least we can talk about them a bit more.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I will try to do the same thing. Let's see.
I guess you got at least a couple of Louis Vuitton stores where you are, haven't you? I've been
Yeah,
in one in Barcelona, but I know there's at least two or three is in there.
yeah, true. There's two that I know of. I think there's two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In which case, let's wait for July
yeah.
and then get them tried on, see what we think of them.
Okay, let's do this.
Let's remember it is our birthdays in July. We could always we could buy each other a nice birthday present, couldn't we?
Yeah, nice. Okay.
I think I'd just get murdered for that as well if I did that. I think you would as well, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. Especially right now.
Yes. But he's my friend, my best friend.
He's my cancer friend. That came out kind of wrong, right? Damn.
My astrological cancer friend.
Nice.
Made up astrological cancer friend.
Yeah.
Bullshit astrological cancer friend. There we go.
Okay, let's make t-shirts of that.
All right. I'll stick some on the store. You do a design for it and I'll stick them up
Okay, let's do
and we can get a matching pair and wear them next time we see each other.
it. Perfect. That's a plan.
Nice. All right, let's wrap it up there then, I guess. A good place to stop. You can find all of the show notes and the links to all the things we've talked about, both in your podcast app of choice, but also over on the website, which is theothers.net. There you can also find our current merch shop, which has lots of lovely t-shirts and hoodies and hats and all sorts of weird and wonderful things that I put on there a long time ago and have completely forgot about. So feel free to head over there and buy some stuff. You can also head over to theothers.net/about, where you will find all of our social media links. But if you want to go and quickly look us up, you can find me at Steve R. Penny on most places. And you can find Rafa at SneakerDenn2. That is right, isn't it?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes. And links in the show notes, as always. But that's it for this week. We'll hopefully be back in a couple of weeks, but we can never guarantee it. But until then, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye, guys. Ooh.